Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Revelry, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Monday, the 21st of March, 2016, and this is episode 171, Just Keep Knitting. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. I'm pretty sure I've used that title before, but I don't really care. Anyway, my week was up and down. On Saturday, we went to see Zootopia, which was really cute. My kids enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it. It's definitely geared towards kids, like it's a kids movie, but it deals a lot with like race relations. So it was intellectual enough that I enjoyed it also. It wasn't like too pushy of a political agenda or anything. So I don't think it would be offensive to anybody, but I did enjoy that aspect of it, that it was a little bit deeper than just a kids movie, as so many Disney movies are. I think I might be invaded in a moment. So I'm gonna whine here a little bit. Normally I keep this intro part short, but last night at work was kind of horrendous. So
Mom,
down here,
can I have pizza rolls?
in a little while, okay?
When Gabriel gets home.
Yes, when Gabriel gets home. Okay, go.
Okay.
So down here, I'll put where to go to if you don't want to hear my little whine about last night at work. Anyway, since Thursday, I knew that I was going to be working until 1 a.m. last night. Fine. And also that UScan was going to be shut down at 10. Fine. Didn't know why. So at about 8:30, some painters came into the store and started taping off the pharmacy area. And then at about 9:30, they started invading UScan. And I was like, are they painting over there? Is that why? Because we didn't know why UScan was being shut down. So I called the co. And I was like, hey, are they painting on UScan? Is that why it's being shut down? Because if that's so, we should let third shift know so that they can buy things before the store closes, because they won't have an opportunity to for the last 4 hours of their shift. And the co was like, I don't know anything about the painting that's going on. Oh, okay, awesome. Well, will you go talk to them since, you know, you're the co-manager? Oh, yeah, sure. I was way more polite last night when I was talking to people. This is going to be the inner monologue portion of it, not the external that I showed everybody. So he talked to them and he was like, yeah, they're shutting it down for the night and we have to close down registers 4 through 9. So is that about 9:30? Awesome. So we had already pulled registers 1 through 4 for the night because we usually have 6 and 7 open at night. So we had to pull the tills out of the safe, reset them up for the day, put them in registers 1, 2, and 3, then pull the registers that we would normally leave in overnight. And we had to hurry up and change out our lotto machine almost 45 minutes early. And just do all of this stuff that we had to move all of our carts. At night, we sort the things that people put on the shelf in the wrong place or hand us at the registers and say, oh, I don't want this anymore. We sort that out at night starting at 10 o'clock. Well, last night we slowed down a little bit around 9, so we brought in all of the shopping carts to start sorting that while it was in the paint zone, which we didn't know was the paint zone. So then we had to move all of those carts and we just had to basically reset up our whole night, which if someone had just left us a note saying, hey, this area is going to be closed down for painting, we could have been prepped for that. We could have just not wasted our time doing our normal routine and just set everything up where it needed to be set up from the beginning of the night. But nobody knew what was going on. Apparently the store manager knew. And it is even possible that my direct supervisor knew, but just didn't tell us, which is very frustrating. That is a huge pet peeve when people could communicate something and they don't. it would have been what, like less than 50 words to tell us, hey, this all is being shut down for painting. Please work accordingly. And then I had a bagger come in at like 9:15 saying, hey, I just got yelled at by a painter. Apparently they're painting the lobby. Oh, awesome. So we couldn't have any carts in the store. We had to move them all outside. So no one could have told us that at any time until they yelled at a bagger. Just totally unnecessary. And I'm sorry for ranting at the very beginning, but I'm still kind of crappy about it. I don't like when people could communicate things and they don't, and it makes things go less smoothly than they could. And also, I'm kind of a control freak. Like I'm flexible. I can roll with the punches. I was fine last night. Figured out what needed to be done, implemented all of the actions that needed to happen. It was fine. But I don't like when things are supposed to go in a specific order, like there's a specific structure, like at work, and it gets thrown out of whack without warning. If there had been warning, it would have been fine. So I'm like, okay, I'm ready for this. Would have walked into my shift, ready for it. But no, all of a sudden we had to change things because of a circumstance that had been known that wasn't communicated. If it hadn't been known, it wouldn't be irritating me right now, but it was a known situation. Okay, I'm done now. I'm done. We're over it, and I should edit this out, but I don't think I'm going to. I just don't think so. I feel like today's probably going to be a long, rambly one. I'm kind of in that mood. It's been a long time since I've had a long episode, right? And it's been a long time since I've had a real episode, so just get ready for that. Yay! The tube stop knit along is still going on. There's about a week and a half left. I hopefully will finish another pair in the time frame. There is a prize, which I showed on the podcast last week, and I'm not going to get it out right now because I'm not going to. It is a skein of yarn. It is 100% superwash merino in the Pooh Bear Redux colorway. I don't remember the dyer, but it was sent to the podcast by Christina. So generous. Thank you so, so much. And I'm excited for one of you to win that. Okay, works in progress. So I didn't finish anything this week, but I got to some really great stopping points on some projects.
Mom,
Yes, baby girl.
can I read Let's go, Diego. Go.
Can we read it?
For me.
Can we read it after I finish my podcast, please? Okay, go downstairs.
Free, please.
We can read it after I finish my podcast. Okay?
Go.
No, we have to read it right. We have to read Go Diego Go right now. First up, out of Leading Men Fiber Arts, Ghost Light in the fishbowl colorway, we have the Len Jerry, which is designed by Sarah Burkhart Abrams, and it is. Where was I last week? Where's that little white stitch marker? I don't know. Somewhere in here. Oh, I'm showing you the right side, but the stitch marker is on the wrong side. Okay, so I did this much, but okay, so here's what it looks like, all not blocked. I am on the bind off, and the bind off is going to take forever. It is a picot bind off, and anybody who's done a picot bind off knows that they take a bajillion years because you cast on stitches and then you bind them off with X amount of other stitches that you bind off, and then you cast more stitches on and then bind them all off. So it's going to take a while, but I'm hoping to have it finished today, maybe tomorrow. I don't work tonight, so we'll see. We'll see how I feel about it, but I would like to get this finished very soon so that I can get it sent out in the mail so that Steve from Leading Men Fiber Arts can have it in his booth, hopefully for his next big show. So I'm hoping to get it in the post before I record next week, but once it's blocked, I'll hopefully remember to record a little snippet. I'll definitely have pictures of the shawl. So I said I was going to try to do 12 repeats of the leaf, Do you remember that when I said that? I was going to try to do 12 repeats for, because that's how many I had counted in the pictures. And I only made it to 11 before I ran out of beads. So ran out of beads, went into the border, and I think it will block out to a good size. It looks, I mean, it doesn't look tiny. It's definitely shawl length by Lorraine. She's from my knitting group. It's shawl length from her standards. She says a shawl has to be 18 inches deep for her to consider it a shawl and not a shawlette. So it's definitely that long. I think it's going to block much, much bigger. I think this is just going to go huge once it hits water, and then the blocking mats. So hopefully, and I am super excited because Lorraine let me borrow her blocking wires. I sent her a text yesterday, and then she was already at Barnes & Noble when I got there because I left a little bit late from my house. So I got there and she was like, so did you finish it? And I was like, almost. I have 6 rows in the bind off to go. So I finished the 6 rows at knitting, and then I started the bind off this morning because I was like, okay, I need to be done because my hands need a break from that needle size. That's why I have so many projects. In case you were wondering, I have arthritis. Like, that's why I have so many works in progress. I have arthritis in my hands. So I need to change up needle sizes and stitch patterns and stuff pretty frequently to give my hands a rest-ish. It's not really resting my hands if I keep knitting, right? But it does, I do hold different needle sizes differently, obviously. So I took a break. And also yesterday we had the cul-de-sac Easter party. So for 2 hours I was outside socializing instead of knitting because it was too cold to knit. Oh my gosh, it was like 40 degrees. So we were all standing around outside in the sunshine. It was great. The kids had a blast playing and stuff. They were impervious to the cold because they were running around, obviously. But the adults, we were standing around outside and we all had our hands in our coat pockets and we only took them out to eat. And I was like, I'm not knitting when it's this cold. Could have, didn't. Anyway, that's why the Pico bind off didn't happen. But it will, and this will be finished, and I am super excited for it to be finished because I think it'll be beautiful, and I'm excited to send it off. I feel super guilty about how long this commission knit has taken, honestly. Like, I took a long time to get started, and then I had a mistake right at the beginning, and I put it in timeout. And then I was working away at it, and then I got sick for a couple weeks. I just feel super guilty that I've had this yarn for, I don't know, forever. I don't even remember when I got this yarn. I try not to think about it. I think it's been almost half a year. That's so awful. I'm usually so much faster on the turnaround for these sorts of projects, for the commissions. I feel bad about that. On the other hand, it is a lace shawl with beads, so maybe a 2-month turnaround would have been more likely than my 1-month turnaround, but I've had this for forever. Can you hear the lawnmower in the background? I'm sorry. See, I would record on a different day if I thought any of my neighbors would never be mowing their lawns, but seriously, as soon as sun comes out, it's not even warm outside. It is cold outside. It was 30 degrees when Gabriel got on the bus, and it's only getting up to 50. But as soon as sun comes out, my neighbors behind me start doing yard work from like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day of the week. How much yard is there to do yard work in? I don't know. Apparently a bunch. Anyway, the Len Jerry is knit on size 3 needles, 3.25 millimeter, and I used a steel crochet hook, I think it's a size 12, to load the beads onto the yarn. I'm greatly greatly enjoying that technique. The beads, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. I hadn't used beads before in a project, but I didn't think it was going to be hard. Like, I understood how they worked, and I've watched Lorraine make several beaded projects, so I knew that it was, not going to be too hard. A little bit tedious, but not too bad. I think it takes like 5 seconds to make a beaded stitch instead of less than a second to just knit a stitch. So it doesn't take that much time. Overall it takes a long time, but it doesn't take that much time when you're doing it. Anyway, that's the Len Jerry. I worked on the Raptor by Jenny Stamen using white birch fiber arts in the colorway I Eat Me Spinach. And yesterday at knitting, I finished the 6 rows on the Len Jerry, and then I brought also the Raptor socks, but I was on the last section of the Raptor, which is this right here. It's a short row section. It's the only short row section in the pattern. This is a free pattern on Knitty, so I'm going to walk you through it a little bit. What you do is right here, this line right here, you cast on all of the stitches to knit it sideways. And then there are some increased sections and some decreased sections, but you work, or increased points and decreased points, not sections. You work 3 different sections, I think. One is increasing for toes and heels and everything. Another is just doing toe shaping, no heel shaping. I think that's correct. I'm pretty sure. I just followed the pattern. I didn't memorize it. And then there's this, you get all of that and you try it on, and it should close over your foot and at your leg, and then just have this open section on the top of your instep. And then you do the short row section to close the instep. And I'm really excited because the sock fits. I'm actually going to try it on. Anyway, the only modification I made to the pattern, because I haven't knit sideways socks before at all. And of course, if I'm going to knit sideways socks, I need to do it on the bias, because why not, right? Let's just be a little ridiculous. The only modification I made is that in the pattern, it says to do the short row section in a contrasting color and leave the ball of yarn attached. But after you do the short row section, you then cut the yarn that was attached to the sock in the first place and graft together. So I just cut my yarn before I did the contrast section and continued on to do the contrast section with my working yarn. So here is the bottom of the sock. So cool. And the back, and here to here is what I knit in the past week, that area. Yes, that's how much work I did on the socks. And then I'm going to show you the top of the sock. Can you see this awkward bump right here? That is the tail from the cast on that I need to weave in. I haven't gotten that far yet. I did weave in from the graft end. That one's done. So anyway, here's the top of the sock on. It takes a little bit of work to get the sock on for me because I have a high instep. But once it's on, it fits beautifully. So I'm pretty about that. And I will be casting on the second sock later today. I'm super excited. I love this sock so much. I'm so glad that I have this for my first sock, first pair of socks that I'm supposed to knit for myself this year. I'm not likely to finish this pair by the first quarter. Maybe once the Len Jerry's done, I can just bust it out, but I don't know. I do have some other projects that I kind of want to get done. But I might finish it in the first quarter, right? It could happen, theoretically. But I am really excited to have this pair of socks in my drawer. I am going to do the pattern is written so that you can either make 2 identical socks, or you can do the cast on and then do a setup row where you just work the you work an extra row at the beginning, and then you do all of the knit instructions on the purl side and all of the purl instructions on the knit side so that it's reversed. And you do a instead of knit 2 togethers, you do slip slip purls. So I am going to do the pattern so that the slants go in opposite directions, because I think that'll be super fun. I super love this sock and this yarn. This is so beautiful. Josh sent me this yarn because he is an awesome possum and he knows what sort of things I like, and I love this color. I really want the second sock right now. So I'm going to cast on today. Very excited about it. Before I cast on, I'm going to make sure that I do a few more picots. But then the sock is going to be cast on, and I will continue to do at least 2 rows on it every day, which is how I got this sock done. I did 2 rows on it every day until I got to this last section, and then I just busted it out. And this sock probably wouldn't have been done until today, except when I was working last night, because we had all the registers shut down, I couldn't clean anything. Everything was done in the office. We managed to get all of the reshop put away. So from 12:15 until 1 a.m., I was standing at a register with nothing to do. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to Kitchener my sock together. I'm super excited for it. Oh, I like it so much. It was really, really fun. I just trusted the pattern, and I highly recommend it. This is a really cool sock. It fits really, really well. There is just a very little bit of math at the beginning. Not really even math. It's taking measurements of your foot and then picking the appropriate size from there. I think that I went down a size for what I would have normally picked if I was using my normal size needles, but I used US size 1, but 2.5 millimeter needles, which changed my gauge just enough that I was like, if I knit the size that it tells me to, it's probably going to be too big. I didn't do a gauge swatch, but I know my gauge for sock knitting. So I was like, I'm just gonna risk it. And if they don't fit me, they will fit someone else, because I have friends who have slightly smaller and slightly larger feet than me. So if I knit a pair of socks for myself and they don't fit perfect, I can give them away. It's fine. I can knit another pair. I just love the sock so much. Love it so, so much. It's not my favorite thing to knit because purl back rows, and they're not short rows. I think I cast on 100, somewhere between 140 and 170 stitches. I can't remember. It's written down somewhere. I'm leaning more towards the 170 stitch thing. But so that makes for kind of a long purl back row, but I love the finished product so, so much. I'm super excited to have the second one. Oh, look at how pretty it is. And they fit so nicely. Yeah, this is definitely a sock that I will be keeping in mind for a possible reknit sometime in the future. Love it. Speaking of reknit, I am going to be knitting the Mystic Spiral socks soon, and I'm super duper excited about it. I think I'm going to be using the yarn that's in this box right here. I think that's the appropriate yarn. I don't know. I really want to cast on a whole bunch of new things, but I'm not letting myself cast on new things until the Len Jerry is off the needles. I almost forgot another upcoming work in progress, the second quarter socks for myself. So it's that time where you get to vote on which sock yarn I should use based on project bag. I don't even remember what the sock yarn options are at this point because that was 3 months ago. So option 1 is the Sewn by Lindsay zombie bag. Option 2 is the Kitchen Counter Crafter Foxy bag. And option 3 is green flowers. I don't know what the yarns are, so I can't be rooting for one either way, although I'm probably going to take a peek after I finish recording and put up the poll. But yeah, you guys get to decide which one wins, and you don't get to know what the yarn is. You just have to pick based on bag. So I will be starting that pair of socks as soon as I finish my Raptor socks. Anyway, next work in progress, because I have several still. Science Monkey Mercantile Faraday sock yarn in the Rosalind Franklin's Overexposed Photo colorway, and I love this yarn so much. Every time I look at it, I'm like, I want all of the things in this colorway. Unfortunately, he's not dying right now, so that is kind of sad. Anyway, this is where I was last week. I didn't make much progress, but I think I did 14 rounds because I've been trying to do 2 rounds a day, and I don't think I missed a day, so 14 rounds probably got completed. I have 4 more rounds before I will put it, well, I have 4 more rounds before I will put it on the needle with the other one, and I will work them 2 at a time together. So yeah, that's where it is. The pattern is Josie by Jenna Meyer. Why did I almost say Mayer? I don't know. It was an exclusive pattern that she designed for people who supported her Kickstarter for her yarn truck. And I test knit it. So I have the pattern, and it's a really, really lovely lace pattern. But it's a really long pattern repeat. So I'm finishing out this pattern repeat and then putting it on the needles and then working them together. I really, really like it, but these socks aren't, I don't need them done until the end of May. So they're not high priority, but I am trying to make progress on them every day so that they move along and don't just sit there, because I've had this yarn caked up for this pattern forever. This is the yarn that I started the test knit out of. Like, I don't know, how long has she had her yarn truck? Almost 2 years? Yeah. Making progress on it though. I love the yarn. I love the pattern. I just, I have to look at the pattern for every round right now. So that's a little bit of a deterrent for working on it. I can't just zoom on it. The next thing that I worked on is the Care Bear cross stitch. So that's what it looks like. This is Bedtime Bear. And here he is. Let's see, what progress did I make? I finished off the shading on his face. I started filling in the main color on his face. All of the white on his face and body are completely finished being crossed. I put in the black for the eyes. And yeah, that's all the progress that I made this week. So he's starting to look like a little Care Bear. It's very, very exciting. And I actually wanted to just work on the same, instead of feeling the need to change the colors this week, I just finished all of the blue. I think that took 2 days. And then I finished all of the white, which took 2 days. And then I just started on the shading is the first blue I was talking about. And then I just started working on this, filling in the main color. And the black I counted as 1 day's worth of cross stitching, even though it's only 8 stitches, because I didn't have a lot of time for crafting that day. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to use the cheat color. There are a few colors on here where it's just a handful of stitches. So the black for the eyes. In his mouth, I think that's 2 stitches of a reddish brown color, and that's the only place you use it in the pattern. And then another 6, there's 6 stitches for a different red color, and that's all you use in the pattern. So those will be for the days where I'm like, oh, I need to get my cross stitching done, but I don't have time. And the reason this all matters is because I think I was telling you about the RPG game, the Habitica.com Habit RPG thing that I do. Well, you have dailies, and if you don't complete your dailies, it takes away from your hit points. But right now, Josh, Sword Infinitor, and I are in a party, and we are on the 3rd step of a quest series, and we're fighting a boss. And so not only do you take damage if you don't finish your dailies, just because, but the boss also deals you damage for dailies that aren't finished. And I don't want to lie to the boss so that he doesn't attack me. So I feel really like I have to do each of my dailies. All of my works in progress are part of a daily, separate dailies. So that's why everything gets a little bit of attention. It's really, really fun. But this boss hits really, really hard. I actually died in the game because I only had 5 hit points, and I was like, oh, but I'm about to level, and when you level, you get all of your hit points back. Well, apparently, I thought it had reset for the day, like the boss had already dealt the damage for the day, but it hadn't. So I died, and I lost a level, and I lost all of my gold, and one of my pieces of gear broke. So moral of the story, next time just heal myself when I only have 5 hit points left. Anyway. What else did I work on? Oh yes, child tube socks. I didn't put in a stitch marker. Can you hear my dog outside? That's him barking. Mara's lax on her letting the dog in when he barks duty, but she's in the restroom right now. When she comes out of the restroom, I'm going to remind her. Anyway, lots of chatter this week. These are Mara's tube socks. I didn't put in a stitch marker for how far I was, but I do recall that I had quite a bit left to go on this main portion, so I'm going to guess that I was about here last week. So I did this much. Pretty decent progress. Not bad. I'm in the first section of the ribbing, and I know I wasn't there last week. So, you know, they're going. They're going to be pretty long for tube socks. They're going to be longer than any other tube socks I've made so far. Yeah, they're going. They're not super exciting, but they are my take along to work knitting or take in the car knitting, which I haven't had much of this week. I also worked on the blanket for Steve's mom, but that's downstairs. I just didn't feel like packing it up and bringing it up here just to pack it back up and take it downstairs. I haven't made a ton of progress. I think I was working on the bone colored border last week. Now I'm on the red border, the autumn red. So I did 2 rounds of bone, and now I'm going to do 2 rounds of red and then measure it. I remember saying that last week. So that's where I'm at with that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I was working on the Hufflepuff's cup, the gourmet stash, little, what does she call them? Batlings? Tribbles? I don't remember which one she calls them. I was working on that and just doing, 5 minutes a day, just enough to say, oh yeah, I did some spinning today, but not enough to be a huge time sink because other projects need more time. Well, I have been mostly downstairs this week. I haven't been in my craft room hardly at all. I went downstairs and my bag, because I was keeping all of my bag or all of my knitting, crafting, cross stitch, everything, except for the blanket, in a large bag. It was knocked over, and I was keeping my spinning project in a little like cookie cylinder thing, and the fiber and spindle were not in there. And I was like, where is my spinning project? To both kids. I was like, find it now. The fiber was right next to the ottoman. So I put the fiber back in the cylinder. I don't know where my spindle is. I'm kind of stressed out because it's not an inexpensive spindle. It is my Golding spindle, and it is missing. And I looked under the ottoman. I looked in the toy box, which is really close to the ottoman, just in case. I looked under the couch and in the couch. I didn't look on all the shelves in the living room, but I feel like I probably would have noticed it with a quick glance. So I don't know where my spindle is. I'm kind of really nervous because I noticed that one of the vents had the cover pulled out. And if it fell into the duct, I'm never going to see it again. So that's kind of, I'm like, oh, please don't let that be where it is. I'm hoping that I'm going to clean Mara's room today and find it in there somewhere, hopefully not broken. Yeah. I will be sad if I lose the spinning progress that I made because the fiber is really beautiful, but it's not a lot of fiber lost. But I don't think I'm going to get another Golding anytime soon because they're expensive. And I really, really loved the way that one spun. And it was a very simple design, very understated, just a brass ring around a pretty plain wood top. And I'm really kind of stressing about it. Hoping I'm going to find it in Mara's room. I'm really nervous that I'm not going to. But maybe it's like in a couch in the library or anywhere else. Hopefully not down that vent because I have no way to find it if it fell down that vent. So anyway, I did spin on that, but I can't show it to you obviously. Didn't find it yesterday and I was like, well, I still want to spin because boss fight. So I picked up the Carnival Bears colorway, which was dyed by Hippie Penguin. It's Superwash BFL. And I did just a little bit of spinning on that. I'm getting to a point where the brown is meeting the blue in the fiber. I think you can kind of, you can just barely see on the outside strand that that's happening. So yeah, that's what I'll be working on this week, unless I find my Golding. And then I'm going back to Hufflepuff's Cup because I'm super enjoying that spin. I'm not saying that this isn't enjoyable. It's just, this is nice. But the Hufflepuff's Cup has like sparkle and different colors and different fibers. So it's just really, really exciting. This is nice. It's just not like, oh, this is awesome. I did start one new project because we were going to the movies to see Zootopia, and I didn't have anything that was like movie knitting because the tube socks have just that little bit of purling, but it's just enough where I need to be able to glance down and see what I'm working on every once in a while to see, am I at those last 3 stitches? I could have put in stitch markers, but I chose not to because I have another commission. After I finish the Len Jerry, I'll be going full force with this one. And it is to make a Pikachu hat. I'm not following a pattern. I used the numbers of the sockhead hat for cast on. And I cast on using Judy's Magic Cast On, and it's all a mess. Sorry, Mara touched it. There we go. I used Judy's Magic Cast On so I could do a provisional cast on. So this is one needle that is holding the stitches. And then I'm using my new Addy Sock Rocket, the size 2.25 millimeter, to knit this main section. I'm starting it on size 1s, and then I'll be going to size 3s for the body of the hat. But what I'm doing is just a folded brim. So I cast on, I did probably 3 or 4 rows, just enough to get it to a place where I could work it in the dark without having to worry about it. So probably 3 or 4 rows. And then we went to the movies and I did all of my knit rows, and then I had a stitch marker to keep track of how many rows that I had worked. So once I got to 10 rows worked, I did a purl row, and then I did however many more knit rows. And then I stopped. I haven't worked on it since the movie because I have I have a little flow chart, just very little, of my works in progress that I have right now, and then what I'm going to be casting on following that. So here it is. You see it? You see Mara's lovely artwork in my journal. So after the Len Jerry, I'm going to work on the Pikachu hat. After the Josie socks, I will be working on socks for Haley. After I finish the blanket for Grammy, I'll be working on a market bag for Aunt Kimmy, who is Grammy's sister. After I finish the Care Bear, I have a lighthouse cross stitch that I found when I was helping my best friend clean her mom's room out after her mom passed away. So I kind of want to make that and give that to my best friend. It's been on my list to do for her since her mom passed away. So that was exciting in not a good way. And I have no idea what I was talking about because I have just been outside talking to a police officer for like 20 minutes or something. Apparently, someone at some point broke into my vehicle and stole my zoo membership and also some gift cards out of my car. Nothing else. Everything else is there. But yeah, that is lack of exciting. And I don't even know when that would be because I always keep my vehicle locked. But Steve sometimes gets my vehicle from me at work because he grocery shops and his car is too small to haul groceries back, and he does not lock my vehicle. So yeah, that's really special. Anyway, yay life, I guess. At least I have my zoo pass back. I don't even know when that would have been because we haven't been to the zoo in a while. Yeah. So I think that I was finishing up talking about my works in progress, which means that I was moving into modular knitting. And if there was anything that I forgot to talk about this week, I'll talk about it next week. So I did one blanket square. This is the, what is it called? Can't even, I'm so frazzled right now. I should probably take a break from recording, but it's getting late-ish in the day and I only have a little bit left to talk about. I should be okay. The next few minutes are probably going to be pretty frazzled and kind of rough. But at least I'm talking about my modular projects, so I don't have to say a lot. So this is the Pagewood Farm Denali in Marine Girl. And here is the mitered square. That is number 21. This is barn raising square number 64, same color. And I did 0 hexapuffs this week. I had every intent of doing hexapuffs. I took my hexapuff bag around with me to work. I had it with me when I was crafting downstairs. It never happened. So no hexapuffs this week. Fail. Fail. Anyway, I'll get to it. I'll make some hexapuffs in the future, hopefully this week. I always feel so guilty when I don't do them. Oh well, it is what it is. I have new things this week, which you've kind of seen. I ordered Knit Picks Stroll Fingering in the Dandelion colorway for the Pikachu hat because I went to Joann's and I went to Michael's and neither of them had yellow fingering weight yarn. I couldn't even find... I was really surprised about Michael's because they have that, what's it called, wool-like fingering weight that came in a bunch of solid colors. I couldn't find the wool-like at all in the Michael's. Not even a space for it on the shelf. I didn't ask anybody, but I couldn't find it. And their yarn section is pretty small, so it's not like I could have overlooked it. I didn't expect Joann's to have it because I've never seen bright yellow there, so... But I went to check just to see. They didn't have it, so I ordered from Knit Picks, and hopefully this will be an appropriate Pikachu colorway. Got 3 50-gram balls of that. I don't think that I'll need 3, but I was like, do I really want to place a second order just in case? Because I'm not going to place an order to get free shipping. So I'll have to pay shipping twice. So I got 3. It's fine. What the guy paid me to make the hat covers that cost in yarn easy. So it's fine. If I have yellow, I'll just figure out something to do with yellow yarn. I'm sure I can figure out something. You know, I don't think I would be opposed to yellow heels and toes in some socks every once in a while. Or I can use it to make something else. I don't know. So I have 3 skeins of that. And all that I have left is I'm still reading Crimson Crown and don't really have anything to report on it other than I'm enjoying it. But I haven't been reading that much this week. Yeah, so super frazzled at the end here. Sorry about that, but I mean, I think it's understandably so. That's just so scary because he was like, is there any way someone could have broken in your house? And when he got here, he knocked on the door and my dogs went crazy. And I was like, no, because I always, always, always lock my house. And Molly is never locked up unless she's really bad. The only time we crate her is when she's bad. So she would go crazy if someone tried to come in my house. I know this because the neighborhood kids knock on my door and she goes crazy. And every once in a while, one of them will like try to open the door and be like, hi. And she goes crazy. So, I mean, she hasn't tried to attack any of them, but I feel like a random dog going crazy when you open a door, even if it wasn't trying to attack you, would still be a deterrent. And you probably wouldn't walk into the house without doing some damage to the dog. And my dog has never been hurt. And plus, nothing, like, we would notice if a computer had been stolen, or I have some gift cards in a drawer in my house and they're all still there. So it was definitely from my car, but it's still scary. And now I need to go send a text message to all the other moms on the block letting them know. Yay. Okay. Anyway, I hope you made something fantastic with your sticks and string. I will see you next week. Bye.